Hey guys, so I have a listing appointment today and I want to share with you the items that I bring with me to the listing appointment and just share with you some tips about listing appointments that hopefully will be beneficial for newer real estate agents. So I have an appointment today. It was actually referred to me by two people. The woman who makes my custom cookies, she actually had referred to me this couple last year and I helped them buy, and they both work together. They're both teachers, and now one of their co-workers wants to sell their house. They need to sell their house. I believe the husband is in the military, and so they referred to me their co-worker. So that's my listing appointment today, was a referral. And so I just got everything ready and I'm going to share with you all the items that I bring with me. So first thing is my marketing guide, and I break down everything that I do for the listing prior to it going on the MLS, and then a breakdown week by week. I bring my seller guide, which I'll go into more detail. I've got a bunch of stuff in here. I've got a contents page, and it talks about myself, my brokerage, mission, values, organization tips, market conditions, lockbox sign, online presence, property flyers, open house, pricing, home inspection, appraisal, and I've got like really cute graphics on here. I love this one page. I have a checklist, and it's the homework page, and it has all the items of everything that I need before I come back, or for when I come back to the property for picture day. You can actually purchase this from me. This is customizable on Canva. So if you're interested, just send me a message. I bring the comps for the home, and then lastly, I'm bringing a net sheet. So these are all the items that I bring to every listing appointment, and I am going to share with you kind of how I go about the appointment. So, you know, this person today that I have the appointment with, they are referred to me, but they still don't know me. So I need to go in and build that trust with them. I still need to go in and get this listing because I'm not sure if they are interviewing other real estate agents, and I want to come off as the professional, but when I get to the house, like, I want to still be myself. And the first thing I ask them is if I can put my stuff down, and if they wouldn't mind giving me a tour of the property and letting me know all the improvements, all the upgrades that they've made since they've purchased. So they love doing that, and they'll give you a tour of their house. They love their home usually, and they are excited to share it with you, and they want to talk it up. So they'll just, you know, be doing a lot of the talking, and I'm there to just ask question after question after question about the home, but also trying to get to know them a little bit and try to be as relatable as possible. A couple examples are, let's say they have like a JAG flag outside, and I could kind of talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars and talk about how, you know, I always go to the games, and the last game of every season, my brokerage always lets us go and get, they get like a cabana area for us, like with the pools and it's food and drinks, and I always like to talk about that. Just trying to like pinpoint different things where we can kind of conversate on and relate on, and it's not so salesy, professional. Give me this tour of the house. You know, if they have kids, talking to them about their kids. How old are their kids? What are their names? Where do they go to school at? And if they're there, you know, engage with them. And pets are a really easy one. You know, and I can kind of relate and mention about my dog, and yeah, just trying to find things to talk about and relate with them on. And then I have them give me a tour of their house, and I'm usually like complimenting things, but also asking a lot of questions like, how old is the roof? How old is this AC? Have you serviced the AC? Electrical, plumbing, and then asking, you know, how tall are the ceilings? Oh, I see you removed the popcorn ceiling. Just try to ask question after question, because I need to know this product. I need to know this property as well as they do if I want to try to sell it the best of my ability. So I'm trying to ask a lot of questions about the house too during the tour. And so after they give you a tour, I ask them if we can sit down and go over all the logistics. So before we break into comps and money and commissions and the net sheet, I want to still use this time to build that relationship with them. So the first thing is I break down the marketing, which is one of my favorite things to talk about, and I like to showcase like how excited I am. You know, this is their biggest investment, and my goal is to get them the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. And I feel as though it's really beneficial to work with a real estate agent that's going to invest their own money up front. And I don't go over every single detail that is in here. I tell them I'm going to leave this here with you, but I love checklists, and I actually print this off for myself for each listing and make sure that I'm getting all of the items completed. So I'm wanting to showcase to them that, like, hey, you know, I'm giving you this here today, but these are things that I am legitimately actually doing for your property, the marketing. And so I'll just touch base on a couple of things in here, like how I'm gonna get professional photos done, drone footage, a custom branded video, how it's gonna be published in Homes and Land magazine, and it's gonna be featured on Home Connect TV. So just touching base on a couple of things and just being really excited about it and emphasizing, you know, the cost of some things and how I pay that, I take on that investment. And I feel like that's really helpful, and people usually are excited about it. Then I break down, I don't go over every page in the seller guide, but I do touch base on a couple of things, like how there's a page in here about all the websites that we publish the listing to, and I usually take time on this organization and maintenance page because usually people need some tips and suggestions when it comes to selling their property, and I kind of just explained to them how you know, I've lived in a house before that we were selling, so I completely understand the process and how uncomfortable it can be having people come through, and like they're going to be looking through every nook and cranny. They're going to be opening up the closets, looking in every drawer, especially looking in your pantry, and I just kind of give some tips and suggestions, like you know, when people open up these spaces, we want it to seem bigger than what it is. And even though you have a lot of things and you need these things still while you're living in the house, even if you just have it organized and like labels facing the right way, when people open it up, they don't have this negative feeling, and it might seem a little bit bigger than what it is. And so I'll just kind of mention, like, depending on our tour and their home, I'll give some suggestions on ways to organize, and for photo day and then for during the showings. And I kind of use this page as like a focal point, like, okay, this is when I'm going to talk about it. We discussed the lockbox, which I explained the whole showing process and how it works with the online portal when the real estate agents go online to schedule their showings, and kind of explaining to them how it works when it sends them a text to their phone and them saying yes or no to the showing, and just touching base on the showing process. You know, if they have kids and they've got jobs, like how is that all going to look? And kind of set the expectation at that time. And then we'll talk about photos, the video, and then we'll have the open house discussion and kind of see where they're at, if they're open to that or not. And I kind of explain to them how beneficial it is. And I talk about the appraisal. I've got a couple of Zillow reviews on here, and I'll just mention how they can go to Zillow. I have a ton of reviews on there, but I also have past references from previous sellers that I've represented, and that if they want their contact information, that I'm more than happy to share that. Yeah, and so I leave this there with them as well, and this is reading material for them, but we just touch base, like I mentioned, on a couple of those points. This is a great time to build that relationship and to showcase your skills and that you are the professional. So I love the guide. And then this is the time for you to talk about the comp. So every seller always wants to list so high. So before I ask them, you know, where they're at, because I'm sure they have a dollar amount in mind, right? I'm just going over the comps. Like, I'm just sharing what the appraiser is going to be looking at, and I print out recent comps, properties I've sold within the last 6 months. Depending on the property, sometimes I'm just pulling comps in that neighborhood, or sometimes I'm having to go a mile out or so. And also ones that are comparable to their home, and I am just going over the stats with them. I'm sharing with them what these people listed at, what it ended up actually selling at, and if the seller had provided any concessions like a home warranty or closing cost assistance. Sometimes that ends up being thousands of dollars. So sometimes, you know, a seller might have gotten a good price on their home, but they had to contribute $8,000, and we can see that on the MLS under the private remarks. And so I print that off and want to showcase that to people. And I'm just going over the stats with them. Sometimes I'm bringing my computer and actually going through and showing them the photos of properties, and just to emphasize the pricing. But usually they have questions, and I'll ask them like, hey, what do you think that you want to start out listing at? Where are you guys at with that? And usually, like, they know and they'll tell me, and I'll be like, okay, you know, I don't like to give somebody like, oh, your house is worth $250,000. Like, I want to give them a range. Plus, I'm going into the appointment with a range in mind, because a lot of times there aren't the most up-to-date photos of their property in their house. It's just, you know, the older photos from when they purchased, and a lot of times they have made upgrades. And so I'm not going in with an exact dollar amount, I'm going in with a range, and then once I gauge, after getting the whole tour of their home, I'm able to pinpoint what part of that range are they really at, and then I'm still giving them a range. I'm not pinpointing $1 amount. And so then when I have like an idea, I can draft up a couple of different net sheets for them, just to give them an idea of what they're going to net at the end of the day. So I know that you can reach out to title companies and they will draft up net sheets for you, whoever you use for your closings. But we have like this online calculator that I use, and I can post the link in the comments. And basically I just plug in a couple different purchase prices. I plug in the commission amount, our transaction fee, their closing costs, and then it gives them an estimated net. And just to give them an idea of the cost, and I think once, you know, if you go in and you get a whole tour of the property, and then you're building that relationship with them, and then you're sitting down at the table, you're spending a lot of time talking about your marketing and how like you are investing your own money into this, and talking about how excited you are about it, and then, you know, diving into the seller guide, providing value with that, and then talking about comps. I feel as though if you provide so much value that they're not going to ask you to reduce your commission, because they're like, wow, she's spending a lot of money and a lot of time on our investment. And when people see that dollar amount, it is a lot of money. And sometimes I do explain it. I'm like, hey, this 6% is a lot of money, and I just want to explain to you, because if you aren't in real estate, like, how would you really know how this is broken down? And so I share with them a lot of times how it's split in half. 3% goes to the buyer's agent's brokerage, and then 3% goes to my brokerage. So I'm not actually walking away at closing with that 3%. My brokerage takes it first. They take their cut. And then what I'm left with, I still have to recoup my costs from the money that I invested on your property, the professional photos, drone footage, if I did a video, a website, paid for Facebook ads, open houses, like I mention those things again. And then I tell them, and then after that, I have to take out funds for taxes. And then after that, that's what I do actually end up walking away with. And I just mentioned this like in a non-salesy way, and I'm just like, I just wanted to bring this up just so you have an idea and realize how that's really broken down. And then people feel I don't know, like no one's been like, oh, it's still too much for you or something. Like they don't really question it that much. So after that, I want to say that throughout the appointment, when we're sitting down, I am saying over and over, like when I get the listing, when I come back for photo day, okay, yeah, I can come back and we can talk about staging, like all these different things. I'm already putting in their minds like, this is my listing. Even if they are interviewing with other real estate agents, I still talk this way. I feel like it's so beneficial, and I'm not being super salesy and bringing it seems really salesy for me to bring a listing agreement and having us fill it out and getting that all done. I'm just kind of putting it in their court. Which I know some people are against this, but that's just me and my personality, my approach, what has worked. And I just tell people like, hey, keep me in the loop, because I do emphasize with the marketing plan about doing like coming soon campaigns and how beneficial it is. And so if I have an idea of when we're going to be listing, I can have the opportunity to do a lot of the coming soon campaigns and could potentially find a buyer before we even list it on the market. And then also I emphasize how, you know, with a professional photographer, he's the best and he's always really busy and I have to book him ahead of time. So with me mentioning those couple of things, they really keep me in the loop on what they're thinking and when they are going to be listing. And then I always mention like, hey, when I come back for photo day is when we'll do all the listing documents and the seller's disclosure and all those things. So after the appointment, I send them a text and I just say, hey, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to meet with me and give me a tour of your gorgeous home, and I'm really looking forward to working together. I'm mentioning how excited I am, and then I still send them a handwritten note thanking them again and how excited I am about the listing. So let me know in the comments if this was beneficial for you. If you have other content ideas for me, please share them, because I'm trying to be so consistent for you and share with you as many videos as I can. So just let me know what you want to see in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys soon.